he was, then it would have been cool. No flash, it's great. Probably should have just flashed up and said, okay, well, I lost my flash. You let him have Skarner, it's not my fault. You know, no one's going to judge you for that, for using your flash there. But not using it, we will judge you, unfortunately. Then, in this moment, Wei is able to pull Carrier back. That means he doesn't have those key abilities for the follow-up that KT want to go for here when BDD shows up. BDD doesn't use the killer instinct that he steals.
I don't think he could.
Yeah, he can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he just dies. It was kind of a bizarre decision. The Wei also loses life, where Faker has to use, well, he doesn't have to, but he opts to use his TP, so that's like one small victory. And then you almost killed him afterwards, duck down, but then you didn't. And
now it's a 5,000 gold lead. We are heading towards a Cloud Soul as well. You love to see it. T1 are the best at getting Cloud Souls, man. I swear to God, this team never lets me down.
Dude,
and so
crazy.
They're going to be running pretty quick if they're able to lock these up.
I mean, Faker has an arm guard because if he has all that extra money, and I mean it's a fine choice. He's very safe.
Yeah.
And this next Herald fight, I think KT feel like they have to okay. This.
Oh dear. Ona's coming in. Wei's going to stop him. They're going to see whether they can kill Doran. He gets the Mega Gnar. Don't know about the flash, but it's going to do its job as Wei is just dead once again. Perfect and Faker are fighting. The Cassante doing some work here as they take down the Silas.
Damn.
Owner is deciding where he wants to drive, and you can see up here nothing going to come of that battle. Yeah, KT, I mean, it's just not working.
Smash has a perfect KDA Atlas.
Yeah?
It fits right in. It's looking real good.
As Doctor, all right, lying in wait, wanting to get the Chains of Corruption. He hits it on the Skarner.
Nice.
And then gets impaled, and now he's dead. And the Skarner, did he notice? I'm not entirely sure. Another heroic charge coming on through here onto Cuz. Decent crash down though as Carrier maybe falling, but not before Wei goes down. It's a double kill for this Skarner. Look, I don't know whether the win rate of Skarner is going to be changing, but deaths did double.
Yeah, globally.
Yeah, that's why I would be strong. Hard steal.
They could even triple. Probably not, actually.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Not anymore.
I'm saying it's possible, okay? Yeah, this is unfortunately KT, like, we have the numbers advantage here, but look at what's happening on the mini-map. Wei is just trying to buy time because they know this is a lost fight, it's a lost cause, and Smash
they made a mistake.
He's able to hit his Void Seeker, and then Duck Dom hiding, like, you know in the movies where there's somebody next to you who goes, shh, when you're supposed to hide when like the soldiers are looking for you or something? He didn't have that, so I guess he just decided to make sounds and appear out of the brush, and so he died, like, because he also wanted to hit Doran with that ulti, and unfortunately the hop came in. Yeah, I mean, he was it doesn't matter, but I mean, maybe he could have just gotten out faster instead of waiting, and I don't know, Atlas.
I mean, I think if he was just quiet and stood there, maybe it would have been okay, but it was not.
Yeah,
T1 got 2 dragons up.
Best not miss. I don't.
Yeah, something like
It's
that.
good for them.
At this point, like, the game is such a foregone conclusion that like KT have to try crazy things to come back.
The Poppy pick against Rel and Vi and Silas.
The best thing about this is
they're all engagers except for Vars, so it's really good Poppy pick.
They continue not banning it throughout the series. At least this time.
Oh, Wendy, thanks for the follow.
Throughout the series. And we're not going to have to worry about the Skarner problem again.
That's true.
Yeah, and then
worrying about it right now.
I accidentally streamed this a little bit late, but it's alright.
The foregone conclusion situation here, and I'm starting to believe you. Let's see, maybe KT.
I wonder why they went with the Vi pick though. I mean, because they're all engaging, but it doesn't make sense. Vi's just gonna also just falter.
First death ever on the LCK stage.
Oh my goodness. He has a definable KDA to start us off. It's great to see. Speaking of great to see, actually looking for an opportunity towards his bottom side. As all out going to be used. Doran actually still getting a lot of work done as the Vault Breaker is avoided. Faker teleports in. Perfect.
Oh, they went in with Bind. There you go.
Take down the Gnar, and now T1
Alright.
with a view on the floor. This is the best way
Yeah,
to
probably
beat
wasn't
Skarner.
in, so she wasn't able to
That's true. Now they're only
use her
6,000
W.
I was trying to add some hype to it.
Alright, so like, why Vi is such a sought after?
Yeah, it's just tragic, but they're not gonna lose from
this.
this.
In that loss in game 2 earlier today as well, gives you so many opportunities to actually Kit picks when you're super far behind because she has really long engage range, really easy setup CC for your team. Similar story here, even without
Yeah, I think they should have teleported here, but
despite T1 eyes a little bit big for their stomach on this one, hoping they can turn things to that Victor damage. They're unable to do so, and so it's
but it's fine for now.
KT that I didn't think that we were ever going to see them get.
There's that goal, the goal grab moving back down.
It's a drop in the bucket, but it's still a drop.
I mean, it looks a little bit like a roller coaster, so maybe KT are kind of okay with it, because at that point, generally the roller coaster does go back down again, unless it hasn't reached zenith just yet, which could be the
yeah, this is where
Doran back towards the top side, his natural habitat.
Owners should get Sterix, but I don't think he's gonna buy that.
Voracious Otacon really does not hit the skill shots this season, though.
Really?
Look at this!
Oh,
I mean,
finally hit carry with one of them.
Sometimes, you've played enough times. Also, some of the boots are bait, so I'm glad they're not going full boots.
I'm kind of leaning towards owner. You know, if I had to be honest with you, Atlas.
I'm probably leaning
except for when you have like Merc Shreds.
And he couldn't do anything about the only time that he died.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just got jumped on.
This is really good.
Anyone can get fired. It could happen to you right now.
Exactly.
Don't look behind you. Just focus on the cast.
I know, like anyone here in Lolpark could just cease and desist me at any point.
Especially G-Sun.
I'm always actually wary of it. I'm always on edge. I'm glad that we've now vocalized it. It might help me deal. As G-Sun did just tell me that I'm good, at least for this.
I mean, it's fearless, so you won't have to worry about it after this.
Alright,
this is a great push.
Try and take down this inner turret, and by
but it's just gonna be opening mid.
The Rift Herald is going to try and get some value because it was almost dead before Shelly's charge even came through.
Oh, pretty good.
How
about you?
To save Shelly's life, at least for a moment.
We've come so far in terms of our Herald driving here at the LCK.
I know, it's so much better.
Let's see. What's the next objective to fight for here for KT, where maybe BD gets it done? 4 minutes until the Cloud Soul for T1 if they secure it. Otacon is up, but I think T1 have their eyes on Baron potentially, you know, being the thing they go for before that Dragon spawns, because it is T1 and they are kind of 6,000 gold ahead, give or take. So I think they're going to be pretty happy to do Baron on spawn, because they do Baron on spawn sometimes when they're behind on gold.
They also used to do Baron when it spawned.
I don't like the Gnar pick though.
Yeah,
that's fine. They're just ahead.
They're like, what? They're trying to change the code.
Like they're going.
Come out faster. I look at Cuz has flash, right? If you can hold on to that,
Torch is not good.
Maybe a miracle could happen. I'm thinking it's like about a 0.7% chance that KT wins a decisive team fight.
It's building Leandre's at least to make the item better, but
I mean, any sort of insane fight for Otacon when
but Torches just feels bad. Actually, no, Lissandre.
Like that's always a
yeah, Andre just feels bad.
But there's teleport on Doran.
Because you waste so much gold.
Just hit Meganar now.
Yeah, Meganar's down, but I don't think there's really a window where they can capitalize on that. Especially because Cuz just back to buy.
So that's going Cosmic.
Cleaver.
Okay.
KT are really not interested in starting anything.
It's usually an item that you start building first, but
in the areas that they need it.
It's nice to see that it's coming in here.
Party push might be the best way for KT to get kills in this game, and kind of trying to surprise side laners, right? Play around this buy, but it isn't going to be a long-term success story if that continues to happen. They will eventually need to win a decisive team fight. The only fight they won decisively was when Doran overextended and T1 opted in to try to save him. Like they're not even here.
They're gonna go take the bottom.
They are trying to slowly.
Oh, sorry, if you didn't hear me, but I'm doing great.
They just can't get there. It's just.
I mean, BDD does have a Scryer, so he could potentially get some vision over there, but Carrier is just playing bouncer really hard to get them into this area. And Otacon, no long for the world. They do manage to scry it, but is it too late? And I think the answer is yes.
No, that's such a great Silas counter.
It's a disaster as the Keeper's Verdict is going to be stolen here by BDD.
That's fine. T1 still took the objective.
Faker, that is a flank angle if ever
the Victor teleport was wow.
Cuz going to join in, but he goes golden. He breaks the arm guard and he will be sent back home.
And he still lives. That's crazy.
Owner is going to crash him into the wall, and yeah, he'll crash down, but he is certainly still out. And KT, they lose one. Could have been
That's
worse,
Faker
perhaps.
for you.
But it's still looking like T1 are moving up to the right.
I mean, Faker lost his wings, but that's okay, because he he doesn't really care. He's going to come back and
Gods don't need wings to fly, Wolf.
Oh, exactly. This has been proven.
Nor do
I
they
need to get like a
gods.
screen grab of that.
The JRPG
That's
Bible,
crazy.
it already explained it. Anime also agrees with JRPGs on this sort of sentiment, but
it's really nice when they agree.
Leandri's picked up for Faker, just barely had enough money to buy that before heading over to this Baron. That damage plus his torch will be very nice at rushing this one down. Now, Cuz still has flash. He didn't use it, like I said. I mean, maybe there's a miracle angler. BDD has hijack back. Where's Doran's
Fires in the
position?
flash. He needs to be killed.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh dear.
Maybe
Interruption is going to stop Owner for now. They're focusing the Skarner and actually doing a fair bit of damage here as Doctom. We're going to try and still get these autos in. Carrier dives forward, playing pretty good defense, but so is Perfect. Able to knock him back. KT surviving for what feels like such a long time. Cease and desist is still up and available. Smash. Is he going to do it? That killer instinct, he dives into the backline. The Magnus Storm, the immediate
He needs to get in there. Oh, he doesn't have ulti though.
Smashes him into the wall. It is still Otacon buff that's available, so T1 can pretty happily
Oh, this is really good by
this
Puppy.
as
They should follow
Carrier
up.
managing to survive for way too long. They take the 100 gold from
Skarner's
him,
taking
but
him
they
down.
lose their
Nice, nice,
Varus
nice.
and their
Actually, that was really bad for
Vi.
Silas to
BDD,
play.
the chain lash comes in, he dodges the boulder, and the chains are not quite long enough.
Almost grabbed.
Oh, T1 can now move back towards the Baron and get to work on it. It felt like a hype situation from yesterday, but it wasn't because Smash had Otacon buff, so now he's back. He's here to help assist with this Baron, and Cuz is dead. That is going to be a guarantee on that one. They've got a Cloud Soul if they'd like it to immediately follow up, and it will be a 10,000 gold lead.
You know how we've had these kind of graphics come up sometimes to talk about, like, oh, it's one of the first times we've seen this champion. Well, sometimes the LCK gives some information that the people might not be aware of, like, oh, Unending Despair is disabled right now because there's something going on with it. There should probably be like something that comes up after during the replay. It's like, oh, by the way, they do have Skarner, so like, excellent. Because like, KT played that fight really well. BDD got the Gnar steal, and he had like 2 opportunities to make.
Yeah, I don't think.
The play, but the follow-up was
Either, I mean, it's good that Kaisa has 2 frontliners, or 3 here.
Unfortunately, and even if he gets a big one,
But she should still go definitely be AP Kaisa.
Their one chance, their one fighting chance.
Because they have to engage.
It feels like
And she needs to be far. She needs to have range.
And now they're even not able to sweep this ward in the Tri-Brush, which is giving T1 all the information that they will ever need. And Keeper's Verdict going to miss this time around, as Cuz will find Faker in the backline, but then he will be found by Owner as well. So Cuz is very dead. That's going to be the first one to go down, as Doctom's trying to get some autos in, but he's just dead. Not a lot of opportunity to do anything. The flash doesn't quite work. He wanted to get over that wall. Perfect is going to acquiesce to his request. And then that might just be all the positive news
taking
here
rail,
for
which is really nice.
As Perfect will be knocked down. And T1, with most of KT now on the floor, they should be able to walk up and finish this one off. Already the teleport's coming in. Faker, he is done with this.
Yeah, they're just...
Really
Skar's just really good. And they have Vi, which is... She's just not a great champ.
Sorry, 28 minutes and 17 seconds, Wolf. That's about it. Wait, when was Skarner locked in?
Probably about
30 minutes ago.
She was going great.
Yeah, this champion is
I just barely started, but I'm only just streaming for this match, which just ended. And then I think there was one before it, but that should... Was it BFX versus DRX? Yeah, that one also is done now, huh?
Game here from Owner, how to snowball lanes with Skarner. There was some big mistakes from KT in this one, especially at level 1, unfortunately for KT's bottom duo. Way going in there at the worst possible time, at the worst possible angle, giving Smash a huge lead, and then Skarner just runs the map after that. The one real good thing that happened for KT in the early game was trying to lock Faker down, the mechanical plays we saw from BDD there. But it wasn't even really that much of a trade up, you know, it wasn't first blood. And there were so many great ults to seal, but it didn't matter because KT were so behind on the tempo. They were able to punish T1 in the bottom lane that one time, but we've all learned. You just don't give Skarner to anyone. Teams. And Owner, you know what? He's known to be quite a good jungle player. Maybe has a few world championships under his belt. Maybe don't let him have it. I thought we learned that already.
The hilarious thing is, for me, like, Doran was the biggest standout in this game. The solo kill onto Perfect. Remember, like, we were doubting this Gnar pick. This is the first time that it's won here in the LCK Cup. Doran just really rolled over the top of Perfect. There was no lane that KT really had any options in. That was That was a doozy of a first game here. But let's see whether KT can turn it around. Telecom wars often go the distance. So maybe if we don't believe in KT, they're going to do a good job. Time for us to go to a short break. When we get back, the space going to break it down. We'll have game 2.
Wow. Yep. This is an incredible fight. Also, what did you want to ask? Ask away. More team draft. When is the next match?
Yeah, they do get vision of Arakan to look. Here's the line. The Magnus Storm from Delight into the backline is gorgeous. PDD tries to get out of there, but Zeus just goes all out and looks to destroy him. Peanut is going to be the first one to go down though, but now Zeka, oh god, he just targets Doctom every time. Perfect lying on the floor as well, and look at HLE. They are just mowing them down. Zeka on about 100 health is still going to survive.
Later today. Oh, it is best of 3s. So it's gonna go to game 2, and who wins game 2? Oh, next game. Okay, okay. There's gonna be one more then. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I whip up sick VTubers, fire banners, double those, and late emails. Happy content without breaking the bank.
As Sponge decides to turn it, he is able to lock that one down. Humbug gets in there, but doesn't get away with it. That is Rich locking
okay.
down that kill. They do manage to take down the Wukong, but the knockup is just gigantic. They take down
Shoot me a link or something to your work.
In the LCK, and he's got the talent to do it. Now Canyon is going to get isolated here once again. My ult does come in, but look at that huge reception heal, and they just don't have the damage. They're finally going to get onto that backline, but then Giant Rocket is going to hit Zeka as well, but he is going in. So is Viper. That's a couple of kills now. The ruler. Oh, the Galliwell coming in, and now you've got a frontline for Ruler to just go absolutely insane in this fight. Zeus, oh, he's looking for Peanut actually. He's got it, maybe. One rocket, no, not quite, but he will absolutely take at least a triple kill in this one. As the big one does rain down, are they going to be able to get in here? Shermaker just running forward. knocks down the dragon, but can they win the fight? That's the question. Flash out here from Showmaker, superplex to get life out of the fight. Very, very low. There's the double. Sleeve Lucy gets the watch out Eve, and they do need to watch out. Dudu trying to fight 3, but he still has to flash away. And Berserker's under the turret.
Alright, so guess today's champion. I'm just gonna put Ari for now. Okay, so not female. Caramel top, human, manalist, melee, Demacia, tots. Oh! There we go. Got it. Crazy. Guess the games within the quotes. Enforced equilibrium? Jeez. Is it Victor? What could it be? Embrace equilibrium. Hyrule? Damn. That's a hard one. You know what? No, not even. Wanna peep my work? Drop your Discord. It's a 10. Okay.
Hello and welcome back to the space. We're here after game number 1 of T1 up against KT.
Why are you taking so long?
With a very interesting sub that everyone is talking about at the moment. But the game wasn't really about that. It was about T1 really just taking down KT in pretty nonchalant fashion, and a very strong game from them. I'm still Valdez, joined by Ox and Wadid. What do you guys think about that game 1?
Well, I feel like we have to start by talking about the draft, because there was a certain issue. You know what?
Can you spot it?
I'll leave it to you viewers. Can you spot the issue?
What's the issue?
There's something
I
here.
can't see it.
You gotta give them a moment.
On your screen?
Like Dora the Explorer. You gotta give them a moment. Can you spot the issue? The draft?
Oh my God! That's the scanner.
It's Skarner.
What happened?
I don't know.
What just happened?
Yeah, and you may think, well, they got Cassante. It's not worth it. You know, we actually have
Wait,
some
hold on.
stats. If
What
you're
is-
wondering, is Skarner just OP in the LCK? The answer is no. This is combined stats, including the game we just had from LCK Cup, LPL, and LEC. Yeah, 100% win rate. The 5 teams let through, regret it immediately, and Ona was the second time it ever died in those 5 games. So pretty good, I think. The general consensus, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, T1's experimenting a little bit, so KT are like, we can experiment too, and let's just leave Skarner up and see if we can beat it. The answer is absolutely not. You talked about getting Cassante for it. The answer we saw there is that it's just not as good, and it actually got solo killed as well by Gnar, which it seems like Doran was very well prepared for that. And of course, we do want to talk about the little experiment that is going on the side of T1. Smash, who is filling in today for Guma. This guy is quite a strong player.
Yeah, he's one of the player you might think of Ruler, Jackalove, those kind of playstyle. He's one of the aggressive AD carry. Crony mentioned, thanks, shout out to Crony. Yeah, anyways, I really like to see Smash playing in LCK. T1 has struggled on like champion
really
pool and AD carry especially. When you had Guma is such a great AD carry with playmaking champions, but he had always issue with the Kai'Sa and Zeri, those kind of hyper carry champions. But now you have Smash, so they instantly playing Kai'Sa, which is really interesting.
Yeah, a different style. Obviously, you've seen from him, you know, Guma's been phenomenal for T1, but it just shows kind of that T1 are still investing in the young talent. You know, they've had players on that current roster who've come from their academy system, and seeing the next generation always really cool. And they got off to a good start. Some missteps, I would say, from Wei. Going in very aggressively on the level 1, loses a lot of HP, loses that potion. Gets a little bit worse, but also credit to T1 for punishing.
Well,
I really want to be harsh on this because I feel like Wei is not really putting attention and focusing enough to like use his abilities, you know, like from level 1 he's just going in for no reason, you know, so that's why they gave up free kill into Kai'Sa, which is really having a weak time in laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was one of these situations where you see the rookie, like, let's target them, but ultimately it ends up backfiring. You're already low HP from the level 1, then you get slammed into the wall a bit too close there, and it's just big blunder.
Nah,
yeah, probably that was pretty good play by Smash. He was kind of walking close to the wall as well, so I think maybe he kind of forced him to use W on him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Rel already struggles into the Poppy, and Wei just made it worse, and we can take a look at what happened a little bit later on in the game as well, which really just accelerated the lead. I think that T1 had a lot of moments like this.
There's a lot. It's going to be a lot of moments where
to really showcase
they will show against Poppy.
I mean, it's not only Smash, but also Doran.
Problem is that
perfect, as you mentioned, and also
trying to make a Nar just helps a lot.
Himself is just smashing all time with his ganks, and those all kind of sets up is really good because you have Kai'Sa in the map.
Yeah, and this didn't really feel like a game where there were a lot of team fights, a lot of big fights. You know, often that's what we like to focus on, but this really felt
Skarner is just allowed to go under towers sometimes, just like this.
Advantages on the map and using the
so you can't underestimate his range.
Yeah, Koma is gonna say why they use Smash after this series, so I'm wondering what's the issue. But I feel like bringing in Smash in LCK for the T1 definitely means a lot for them.
I mean, they've done this many times in the past. You know, Faker's been subbed out for Easy Hoon.
Yeah.
We've had Bangy and Blank, right? There's always been experimentation on the side of T1. I don't think anyone needs to freak out, even though it is happening a little bit. Smash, he's playing well. We'll see what else he has in the tank. Let's throw it back to our casters for game 2.
Thank you very much, Valdez, for that one. And yeah, I mean, an example of a sub that they used to have in the jungle was Tom, who is now coaching. The one making those decisions. So it's certainly not unprecedented as well. I mean, there are so many names. Closer, who just had that phenomenal series on Bro, is also another example of that. Pyrian back in the day. Poby, who's in the audience.
Is that a death note?
Yeah, I feel like recently though we haven't really seen since Teddy Guma. Like it's been 4 years since we've seen a substitution really that's like, okay, we're experimenting. Like the Dany time, everyone kind of considered, okay, that was wrong. Like T1 ultimately decided, like, let's not do this. Let's settle on a roster. And since then, we haven't really seen very much movement or adjustments outside of emergency subs. And this is, you know, again, if you look at the extended, very long history of SK Telecom in League of Legends, yes, sure, it's happened a lot. And every team has years where they have some subs and stuff, but I think it's quite a unique scenario that we have here. Unfortunately, because KT gave Skarner, we didn't learn too much just yet. But hopefully in Game 2, we'll have a better draft from KT Rolster. Maybe the Telecom War will deliver, like you and I were hoping so much that it would before today started.
Yep, and the only reason, by the way, guys, that Skarner is 96% presence, it's because it's fearless, and so it cannot be seen in the next couple of games. So it is still 100% presence absolutely everywhere. That stat was just a little bit confusing to me, and then I recalled it, so if you guys are also a little bit worried about it.
Yeah, like this game, for example. No presence in this one.
See? No presence. Apart from there on the top right, reminding us all of the mistakes that KT made in game number 1. Let's see whether they can remedy them as Ambessa and the Azir. We're sticking with the A's on the side of KT, and the Yone and Ashe going to be removed here on T1 side.
The Azir ban, you know, considering how good BDD is at it and how well he can play through Cuz when he has the pick, I feels like it's hindering more than helping.
Yeah, but they don't want to first pick it. So
yeah.
I think anything that you can't really first pick is what you need to be banning on blue. And the Kalista going to be the final ban here makes a lot of sense. Jace sneaking through. That'll be the first pick. A flex between Perfect and BDD, but I expect it going to Perfect.
BDD has so many, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but he has so many answers to the Azir. Like his Silas he played last time when there wasn't an Azir. He's also great at Talia, which, you know, is not banned in the first banning phase here. So I find it puzzling, especially when you're going to be fishing for first pick Jace here, which BD is very experienced on. The Ezreal we were kind of clamoring for before is going to get locked away for Smash this time around very early in the draft, but Ezreal priority has been pretty high this tournament in general, especially in Game 2s where the AD carry pool gets whittled down a little bit. So I'm not surprised to see this. You You don't have to lock the Leona necessarily here, but it's definitely the one that he's likely looking to grab as his pair.
Ooh, Nidalee going to be coming through here for Ona. Feels a little bit like a pick away as well, as Cuz would have liked to play that. Of course, we saw it work out so well for DRX, paired alongside the Jace that was actually piloted by Yukal in that
Israel
instance.
and
Do they just lock Zyra? I really hope not. Okay, I'm much more on the page with this.
Nidalee. This is so bad.
Away.
Yeah, it means that we might see, like, I wouldn't mind a Talia on that one as well. Oh, okay. Doctom just thinking about jinxing. There it is. Okay.
Has been known to play a very good jinx.
Arcane composition, everyone? Batches?
Victor's banned.
Well, not
But Echo's up.
Echo's up. Let's go. Hey, BDD could like play that, or Cuz could play. It's a flex pick. There we go. It's mid or jungle.
All right, they're gonna try to deny the Leona.
Which spoilers for the next one.
But like Leona is you know, very strong with Ezreal, obviously, and can work well with Jinx. Helps set up picks for her to get excited. The rest of the draft, though, pretty open-ended in that regard, so we don't really know how this is going to turn into more of a pick front-to-back composition just yet. It also could be
one of
that
their
we
fun
see BDD play the
champs.
Jace, and
So
they end up
yeah,
getting
it's
a
a
tank
good
in the top
band,
lane,
but
like a Scion or an Ornn or something like that, and that could be the way.
oh,
Less likely with the
Jax.
Jax to be locked in here, though, for Doran.
Yeah, I don't mind Jax as far as setup for Nidalee is concerned. It's not quite the same.
They were drafting
level
so
of
good
CC
in game
you can
1,
get
and now
from
game
something
2 they're
like
gonna draft
Renekton.
this poorly.
Yeah, but it does kind of work out if they can start bullying Perfect, and Perfect is not exactly having the greatest day so far. So we'll see whether Doran can continue that. Still, next round of bans to come in here, and mid lane might be targeted. Jungle could be targeted on the other side. You can see the Zyra already taken away from Cuz, just to try and eliminate some of these AP options. I imagine Lilia probably to be removed immediately afterwards.
That's my expectation as well, because I think most people are thinking in this draft with the Jinx here that the Jace is probably not going top lane into the Jax. Braum,
They should just
a
pick
a lot of power in the lane swap setup, and you know, just in general, a very strong pick right now. Sejuani banned away. Can help you set up picks for this Jinx. You know, Sejuani hits, then Shock Blast hits, then Jinx hits his
You should just pick Ivern here.
Ultimate, and then boom, she's excited. She's popping off in the team fight. So strong there.
Honestly, just pick Ivern.
Is it going to be Galio Denial from Faker here? Because I think Galio fits this KT draft so well, and KT have now protected themselves from picking Corki, which is a great look for them.
I thought
this
maybe Bard would be a potential angle. The Pantheon support
Bard's alright. Pantheon is not a good one. Please don't.
Go so well. Gave me a lot of channel points though.
That's just a lie.
Did that.
Not even a good hover.
The Pike a little bit more than the Karma here. The Karma is safer.
It's so much lane pressure as well.
Yeah, and no matter what, like the cool thing about Karma, and we haven't seen that much Karma despite lane swaps, is if you're laning into a top laner, you're like, oh man, good luck. If you're laning into just any normal bottom dude, you're like, oh, good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty effective either way.
Karma is a good flex. It's really good with.
Tough, but it can work. Wukong here.
It's with Ezreal because Karma just has to be far still, and Ezreal.
Be an extra peel tool. So I think this is a pretty safe choice. The problem is that Cuz didn't look like he wanted to play it.
Can't be alone at times.
Just gonna get completely out farmed by Nidalee in most cases, and he's gonna have the same poke
Wukong.
Double resets.
This is wild.
That's a bit of fun. Maybe go even further and lock in Katarina instead, BDD. No, it's gonna be Ahri.
Damn.
Okay, so that'll be where the magic damage is coming from, and that will mean that BDD is
obviously who to pay. It's Ahri.
A lot of armor is going to be necessary. It does feel to me like Jinx is a little bit out of place in this draft, personally.
No way.
There's
no way.
You're seeing is
he's actually hovering.
Hover there from Carrier. We'll see what Faker is actually going to be playing, as Nefiri would be fun.
You know, if he plays Zed, it's just a throwaway because it's not.
Yeah, I think the Galio makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean Galio.
Okay, he's been liking a lot of Galio recently.
Because especially like when Ahri thinks she's like, oh, I'm just gonna go proc electrocute. Be careful, you watch out. You end up getting caught by that Galio. He combos you at level 3. He has that magic resistance built up into his kit, and it's very annoying to deal with his shield. And if you're trying to go in as Ahri and you get caught and get taunted, then it's just a disaster. Has great setup for the Nidalee too. If you can set up for a punch or a taunt, the Nidalee Spear always connects. So I'm going to be honest, I feel like some parts of this draft for KT Rolster I could get behind, like the Jinx plus Leon. I'm like, cool, we build around a pick comp. Now you have the Ahri, but just remember what you're playing into. The shields from this Karma, the mobile Ezreal. Who are you picking? Who are you finding in T1's composition? Who's the one who's going to die to set it up? A Jax? Probably not, you know? And that's where I feel like T1, or rather KT Rolster should have pivoted based on what we saw there in the draft, and they did not, so they're hyper-indexing on this. Now, there's synergy in this draft for sure. I just wonder what they hit, what their grab to set up for the Jinx when we actually get down to brass tacks in these team fights.
The one issue that I'm looking at on T1's side of things is their lack of any sort of engage option outside of just Galio dropping. And you need someone to already be in there. I think if a Jax does it, if he gets a really good flank angle, then there's your option, I guess. But outside of that, there's no real way to get in. So much of this hinges on Doran is what it kind of feels like to me. Playing well so far. See how he goes right here. Here we are, ladies and
all the
gentlemen,
cheering.
For the second game of the Telecom War, the first of the LCK Cup
I
ever.
don't know.
In
I
the
do not
history
like
of everything
Italy.
ever, no LCK Cup has ever had a Telecom War like they're having one today.
We could have the record of most Telecom Wars ever this year.
Oh my
if
god.
If they're both in the same group in LCK, and we get the triple round robin of that, then they meet in playoffs multiple times. I mean,
we could break the
road
record
to MSI
for the amount of Telecom Wars in an LCK Cup, like every single time they face off.
Sure,
It is absolutely insane.
In the year though, like
that is
year
true.
2025, like this additional one, you know, they could play against each other in playoffs potentially, and then you have, you know, first 2 round robins at LCK, and the triple if they're in the same group.
And they
road
could face
MSI,
off twice as well in like in like lower bracket and upper bracket and things like this.
Now what if they're in play-ins too? I mean, consider that.
Man.
So I'm just saying.
It's pretty exciting. For Telecom War lovers, it is a great thing. And hopefully we just never see Skarner ever again in the Telecom War also, on top of all of that.
Now, let's talk about these drafts again, because you mentioned something that's a really good point, is the lack of engage for T1 outside of, you know, Galio and the Jax, which perfect spaces really well here with his acceleration gate.
Yeah, acceleration gate actually giving him the extra movement speed, so the walk at you and do stun with Counter-Strike just doesn't work.
Kind of unusual to see that at level 1, but in this matchup works out really well in this particular case. But yeah, it can lead to a kind of a weird game state later on if the game is pretty even, where it's kind of this unstoppable force, which is KT Rolster in this case, versus immovable object. The anti-dive for T1 is pretty insane. Like, they have the shielding from Keria, they have the Counter-Strike, they have Galio taunt and ult, and, you know, the mobility of the Ezreal, and the mobility of everyone because they have a Karma, makes it really weird how these team fights can happen or not happen. Yeah, he took it back, looks like, and
I guess they took a fair bit of damage. That may have been the outcome here, as Doctom is now standing in the brush because Keria is in between the turrets, and he knows exactly where he is.
Remember last time when Doctom hid? It didn't work out this time either.
Yeah, and now he's getting no experience. He's still level 1. Smash is level 3 because Keria actually gave up a fair bit of it, and Arcane Shift has to be buffed. Very nicely done there from Smash. That one last pesky minion meant that he didn't take any of the turret damage. Yeah. And now Doctom can barely do anything in this lane. Oh god, already down to half health.
Smash has cleanse still too, by the way, so he's like not scared of Wei even a little bit.
Yep. Oh man, he doesn't even get that melee minion experience? Oh, it's an absolute disaster.
I told you guys.
Cuz was clearing on the top side of the map, so he does manage to get at least that, but still.
Smash is really good at doing what Guma does, which is winning lanes with Reckless, or in this case, Keria. You know, first time, but he's showing some success with it. When they have a winning bottom lane, he excels at it, actually. He's very good at it.
Yeah.
He's a master of it, I would say.
I also think, I mean, now finally, Doctom might hit level 2, but it's like the damage is being done. This is already doomed. He can't even kill the minions. The minions are too strong.
Yeah,
he's still on 1 CS.
Yeah, he's 24 behind.
God, okay, there's the second one. Doubled his CS in that one moment. Absolutely gorgeous. Owner's going to come on over, and they are just 3 pickings underneath this turret right now.
Wait, hold on. Wukong pre-6, maybe he can bail.
This is good.
Well, he is going to move over here. He's level 4, has the double buffs. As Doctom gets that 10 gold.
It's gonna crash. Should be able to get more damage. Should be able to kill the Jinx
to be
here.
honest with you. Okay, now they're gonna make their way in. Carrier misses the Q. No spear going to connect there either.
Skill shots.
As Doctom, gets a few of them. So he's sitting on 9 now, but he's still so incredibly far behind. He's gonna have to go for a back once again.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows that feeling when you're trying to dodge like a Xerath ult and you're like, ooh, you know, I hope this goes well.
Oh,
I mean, that's
Leona
Doctom's
State.
whole experience here, as he's not getting minions and is
Nice.
25 CS behind, and yeah, he's 600 gold behind without any kills going over.
Yeah.
Jinx
And
having
he's
no.
not having a good time. He's still level 2.
Doran is also not having a very good time in this matchup against Perfect. Perfect
Jinx
actually,
without minions, I think she'll still
changing up
reach
his playstyle quite nicely moving into
her power level.
this game. Playing very aggressively, finding the angles that he needs.
So it's fine.
And Faker also, I mean, he's doing phenomenally well as far as farm is concerned.
But if
Very
this is gonna
even
happen,
by the time this
he
mid
should have
wave
just
does
blocked Cole.
fall down. And yeah, no notes really on the T1 side, but KT, they would really like to have an AD carry. He managed to buy some brown bags. Smash is going to come up and just triage this lane for Doran. And the Jax moving into the lane with the Jinx is going to mean that he's going to have free farm in that scenario as
Why
well.
is it 3 pink wards?
TP to come through here is Perfect's going to come up here and try to put some pressure onto Smash. Level 6 doesn't matter that much for Jace, but does have a level lead, and that's some additional stats here. But it's not a true 1v1 because Keria shows up. He has to leave, and until Cuz hits level 6, he doesn't really want to get too involved. BDD, on the other hand, is going to come up here. They have a really nice setup here for Grubs now. Way also on the flank, and T1 need to be really respectful. Your Faker can ult in, but it's a risky call.
Yeah, Honeyfruit going to be eaten here by BDD, as Cuz will be able to take down the first Grub. Can actually just back away now if they would like to, but instead they're going to pull it out. Perfect going to just shock blast the wave. See what he can get done here, as the Grandmaster's Might now available here for Doran.
Perfect is keeping KT in this game, man. His control of the top lane, his pushback on Smash there, the group that they have with Cuz coming up there super fast to the Grubs means it's really difficult for T1 to enter. And even with Jinx, you know, not having a ton of money, KT are able to get the first objective on lock here. And, you know, first blood's still on the table for them potentially. It's probably not going to happen anywhere around Duckdom at the moment, but certainly could still be a window into getting that first feats of strength set up. And, you know, that's, I think, about as good as it could be here for KT, is actually getting all 3. And he gets all that CS too.
Yeah, that's better than getting all 3, man. That's the feeling that they're looking for. Only down 600 gold, despite how, you know, doom and gloom we've been about how this bottom lane has gone. The fact that Doctom didn't exist until only a few minutes ago. And you can see Smash already with his Sheen completed, has his tier stacking up now as well. Cuz going to be moving on over. Carrier turns up at the same time. We'll just have to see whether the lack of engage from T1 is going to rear its head, right? Because not having the ability to sort of turn on a dime and just try to start a fight when you want to is difficult. And unless Doran is just going to be diving into the middle of them and trust falling alongside Faker, it's going to be a difficult time. However, if T1 just have full control of the area, they have a lot of range, they have a lot of poke, and that could be their avenue to success.
That's what I'm really thinking is going to be what this game looks like, based on what we've seen so far. But being 30 CS behind, as anyone who's played solo queue with support that's trolling you as an AD carry, as long as you don't die though and you keep farming, that 30 CS gap means less and less the longer the game goes on. And if you're set up for success in a team fight, which isn't the case usually when your support's trolling, but in a pro game like this, Duckdom still has some angles back into relevance. It's not so big of a gap that it's unwinnable. And BDD, Perfect, man, he is crushing it.
BDD's committed to the ulti in. Doran, Grandmaster's Might does come down. Teleport from Faker gets him there very, very slowly. It's a bit of a turtle port, unfortunately, at this stage of the game.
Did you just make that right now? I haven't heard that.
No, I've been wanting to say it all season. I'm not gonna lie.
God,
I'm not gonna lie.
So good.
It's all right. Good. T1 still, I mean, they've taken a couple of plates down. If Wei had been hit by that, he would be immediately trying to go home. And I think Doctom is right there with him. Oh my god, the damage. It's kind of absurd.
Well, I mean, they didn't get the kill topside, but they got Faker's teleport. You know, so now, right now, BD has a pretty big advantage in mid lane. Doran's going to be able to get, I think, probably all of that farm there, it looks like, but still taking a bit of a tempo lead. And we've seen Duckdom constantly try to get whatever minions he can. He's going topside now. He's like, maybe I can get those. He's really just not farming very well. Given the circumstances, I think it's fine, and he has had some great CS under turret. But it's the first few team fights we have to see KT set him up to where he can get back into this game. If they lose a team fight or two, then it's like, well, now it's doomed. I mean, now you just can't do anything. You're just a paperweight in this game.
Yeah. Dogdom does make it up to grab this cannon minion. That is huge news.
It is.
And getting towards the weird item that has a name that I find difficult to pronounce. It starts with Y.
The Yuntal's arrows?
Yeah, that's the one. I used to be so confident with it, and I'm just not anymore.
He can also like make a slight like global impact with his ultimate.
This
you know,
is
feels
just gonna be
I mean, that's half
7.
the gold lead that Smash has just washed away. I mean, there are
And
ways.
she's still gonna reach her 3 items.
A possibility. Okay, turtle port is gone. It is regular teleport again now.
If it goes that long enough, and then
Doran is not having the same game as he was last time around. I don't think it's going to matter.
I don't think Wukong wins against Jax or Galio if they're both there fighting him.
Is 20 minutes approximately for the latest first blood.
That is true. Now Doran is still very relevant, even.
I still don't see how KT would win this.
Flash POK here. He's not even going to take that much damage to the clips. But
oh my God, that's so much poke.
Leona's not that. Yeah, Leona's not that huge. It's just gonna be over.
That's what happens when you get hit by everything, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
And when Eclipse is down, it hurts a little bit more.
Yeah.
They got really
Oh my
unlucky.
God, okay, well that should be an equalization of grubs.
Okay, well.
And that's also first blood, so
yep.
It's a lot of extra money going over to T1, and the fact that Smash picks it up, oh God.
Great true shot barrage from him. The thing about this situation, I was going to mention going to the Jax and all that before Wei really overextended there is, you know, if they get 4 or 5, the Jax is significantly weaker as a side lane threat because he doesn't have those grubs in his pocket. He's down on CS, but now they're even in grubs.
Oh dear.
And, I mean, Dogdom is not in a safe place.
Well, in goes Wei. He's trying to get revenge as BDD is dashing forward. Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't do anything, but that does not matter. They still answer the death of Wei with a kill on carrier. Support for support.
Yeah.
No first blood for KT.
Dogdom doesn't get any of the gold, unfortunately, but he's going to feel a little bit less pressured here as he continues to try to CS in this game. Dogdom's just playing a different game from everybody else right now.
He's playing Triage Simulator. He's just doing his very best to try and keep himself alive as much as possible.
You guys remember that old DS game Trauma Center? So, I mean, Wei is like so out of bounds here. Avoids the spear, and then watch this true shot barrage. Spear also hit.
Yeah, the spear also hit. That's so crazy.
He
so
had to
much
flash.
damage.
He had to flash to live, and he didn't. And then Carry here, this actually looked initially like it was a really nice dive setup for Dogdom, but KT actually matched the play really well. A bit of an overextension there from the Karma, and Carry is taken out. 1,000 gold the advantage here for T1, but there is still that team fight power in this KT draft. I think we're not quite going to be writing the obituary just yet. It's not looking good if you're a KT fan, but there's still a few more opportunities.
Yeah, we were calling the game over in draft in the last game. I'm happy to say
Team has some more objectives. We get more gold. They'll get to items faster. This always matters.
Especially for the Jinx. Still, you do have a fair bit of
They're
longevity.
spike faster.
As we mentioned before, these engage issues might start rearing their head on T1 side. Unless they can just hit all the poke like they just did last time, right? They do have somewhat of a range advantage. Not necessarily consistently, with the fact that Dogdom does have very long range with his rockets. As Cuz looking to deny this feat of strength.
Okay, this is a really, really scary position though for KT Rolls. If they lose this fight decisively, I mean, they might not have a way back to this.
It's just over.
About to come back up again as Wei goes in, finds the solar flare. Super Mega Death Rocket landing his carrier so incredibly low. Doran, no option, cannot do anything, and there goes the Drake as well. It's beautifully played here for KT to make sure that they deny those feats of strength and get
They could
even
try to
more.
bait,
Now
but
the
it didn't
Jinx
work.
teleport back to the top side so that that first turret blood not going to go over as well. BDD
It's
with
fine,
some
it's
spare
fine.
time
It's like, I
in
mean,
the bot lane.
that lead towards Leona.
T1 trying
It's
to
tragic,
push mid
but it's
here.
not your fault.
I think there will be an opportunity
They
here
could
for
have
KT
stayed
now to remove these
a little
minions.
bit more back.
The plate goes over, it's very split. BD is going to get one though solo, and the bottom lane much stronger. We'll see if Doran teleports to the bottom lane. So he's going to trade with Faker, who will get interrupted, but then punches his way away. You can see that on the minimap. He's going to teleport bottom instead here, but BD at the last possible second grabbing that plate is pretty huge. Now, this is kind of a protect the president type of composition when you are going to front.
That's just bad.
Engages the rocket here from Duckdom, and the target selection on the Keria is fantastic. Doran is left out to dry. The Cyclone locks him in place. Really well played there from KT. Just divide and conquer. They didn't even have to really do that front to back. They didn't really even have to protect Duckdom in this case because they split the team fight instantly. Ways that engage initially looked a little bit suspect, but the way they all followed up on it, the way they were able to collapse on the Keria was really well played, and the Dorans is kind of unfortunately alone to die, and that's a small dent in the 80 carry gold difference.
Well, now Doran going to get comboed here as Perfect just boops him away. Fair bit of value. Cinders all over the ground as we are gifted a Infernal Soul this game.
Second of the day.
Yeah. And the gold, man, it's so even. This game feels playable this time around. KT, they've done a pretty good job trying to even it out. Next objective will be feats of strength for either team, or if this next turret is going to go down, Ona going to be able to steal away that Rift Scuttler. Very, very nice. As a bit of a change in position here between Doran and Perfect. Doesn't work out so well for Doran, though, as he does lose his counter-strike. True Shot Barrage to get rid of the minion wave, as this could be a solo kill unless Wei decides to come over and steal it. But the leap strike going to be there, and Doran will survive for the moment.
Jinx Rocket, though.
Mega Death Rocket is sailing by majestically.
Well, that's a turret still here.
Yeah, oh, it's going to be a race, though. Let's see how quickly Perfect can take this down. Smash just needs another one, and it's not going to win. That was the first turret going over to KT, so once again, it's just whoever gets the next objective is going to get those feats of strength.
Yeah. 3 seconds till the Herald spawns here. Having that topside turret, though, feels very valuable if you can control that topside leading into the Herald fight, but mid-turret, similar story. Very, very close game here. Suddenly, KT only 300 gold behind. And yes, there's a big gap in the bottom lane, but there's an almost equally big gap in the top lane as Doran is finding himself victim to Perfect, who's basically decided that Jace is like Gragas with a hammer. He's like, oh, Counter-Strike, I've got a little Gragas belly hammer for you on that one. And he just keeps pushing him away, keeps taking these good trades. I mean, look at the build here for Doran as well. It's quite bizarre.
Yeah.
Trying to tank
the good old
Jace,
tank Jace. Tank Jax, understanding that he is like the one guy that is going to be frontlining this game. Duckdom, tagged by a spear, is exactly the person you do not want tagged by a spear or by the True Shot Barrage. As now Doran looking for that angle. They poke Shelly in the eye. Let's see whether they do manage to lock this one down. That's the steal from Ona. That gets them the feats of strength, but can they win the team fight? Doran already going to go down.
They're going to win.
Getting excited, and the essence is picked up
Jinx
by
doesn't do anything right now.
Throws the Orb of Deception through, and it looks like KT just wanted to get out of there, but Faker says no!
Faker,
goes down,
that's
and BD
good.
has to
No flash on Ares. Ares
way.
gonna die next time.
Spirit Fire going to give him that extra movement
Shit,
speed.
we
He
got
gets
cut
himself out of there. Duckdom
That's
so
wicked.
lucky. Wei was already dead, and T1 getting the feats of strength and getting themselves the Rift Herald to continue pushing forward.
This is so
they
massive
get so
for
much gold.
T1 and KT Rolster. They got the initial pick on the Doran. They do not, however, get the Herald, like you say, and are unable to win the subsequent fight. The Super Mega Death Rocket
Doran
actually does a lot of
Jax
AoE
is
damage to the
just
team,
the
but
most
has helped them
bait thing.
isolate a
So to
single
kill him
target here as
first is,
Faker goes in on Doran to
I mean,
get
they're
the
forced
game
to,
plan
but
here for
still,
T1,
it's just
but
funny.
Doran is actually pulled back obviously way out in the middle of nowhere here. Faker would have been maybe an ideal target here, but BD is not able to close the gap. The Rocket
Literally healing go hard, but it doesn't matter.
Duckdom has nothing, no way to get out. BD, of course,
I mean, for
more
Jinx,
fortunate because he's a little bit more mobile, but it was almost so good for KT there, but it's a huge win for T1. And I mean, it's still a playable game here, but that's a big deficit. Doran may be
yeah, I've seen this movie before, but the Zenith Blade not going to connect. And that turret is still up. Owner also in the area. Keria going to turn up as well. And Shock Blast going to be traded for a missed spear. That is going to be the dragon spawning, though. Faker is on the top side that has teleport up and available. And T1 looking to grab this first Infernal. Cuz I don't think wants to give this one away without a fight. Control Ward going over the wall. They are going to try and clear out whatever vision they can find. Faker still waiting. Knows the BDD is up here as well, so has some opportunity to stick around on the top side of the map.
Yeah, this is a really, really awkward spot here for KT. Last time I said that, though, they were able to fight their way through the wave for a crazy engage. Faker can both show up with his ult and his teleport, so
Yeah.
Being even generally close to the objective is a big problem for KT Rolster, and they just can't really have that same Waysa. This time he's isolated.
Oh god, and he's by himself. Like, why are we doing this? He does manage to get some CC onto Smash,
Ooh,
who may not have
Smash.
wanted to go this far forward. Buck Faker is there to protect him. Owner in the backline, Cuz almost kills him, finally does. Managed to take, that's a solo kill? That's kind of insane. Where is Smash going? This fight is all over the place, but Dom is the one that's truly isolated, and Perfect does not find the shock blast. Yeah, okay, it almost looks okay for KT, but T1 really turned that one around, and it should be a free dragon for them.
Yeah, close but no cigar. A story of many almosts for KT Rolster in this series, and this is just another example. As Wei is dead, so he has to commit. Now, Cuz is looking for the flank here with the Blast Cone. He can still use Warrior's Trickster if he actually has that Blast Cone to close the gap. So he basically has an insane gap close. Goes on to the Nidalee here. Smash takes a ton of damage, and then Duckdom here unfortunately tries to link up with the top side of the
Smash can actually win against Jace, but he has to play that longer, and the Jace has to follow.
T1 members, so not the right call there, I think, but it was a tough situation either way. I don't know if he lives, but going that direction certainly helped Smash get out of dodge, who's sitting on 3 kills now, kind of miraculously survives there with the help of his teammates, and it was a cool idea, like, and they salvaged Wei so well there with that flank from Cuz, but it's just too little too late. It just keeps being one step forward, 2 or 3 steps backwards
for the whole
for
stream,
KT
so I gotta go
in this series. Just like when they almost killed